Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is, right? Oh yeah, it's time for another Mashle video! Oh yeah! You ready, Barry? I know you are. Man, check it out. I just noticed this. Barry has a mark on his face. I didn't add that. That's just always been there. And so, yeah, Barry's a wizard. I mean, we already knew this, but yeah. Alright, so, yeah. Last Mashle video I did had a really positive reception, so thanks to everybody that checked out that video and checked out the series. I can't count how many comments I got on that video that were like, man, I never read this, or I've seen it around, but I've never given it a shot before. I'm gonna go read it. And a lot of people came back and be like, yeah, this was an awesome series, so thanks for introducing it to me, Tekking. No, it's great. You should go check it out. Now, that video was more about, like, Mashle is awesome in general, and you should go check it out. This video is gonna be a lot more spoiler heavy. We're gonna be talking about the most recent chapter of Mashle, chapter 35, as well as, like, this entire arc that we're kind of concluding right now. So, if you still have not read Mashle, go and read Mashle. It's like 35 chapters. You can breeze through that in an evening. I just last week, I blitzed through like 80 chapters of Chainsaw Man in a single night. So if I can do that, you can do this. By the way, I don't recommend reading all of Chainsaw Man in a single night because holy crap, that was a roller coaster. But maybe we'll talk about that another day. I'm still kind of processing what the hell I just read there with that series. But no, Mashle is great, so we're going to be checking that out today. Also, this a public service announcement. Do yourself a favor. Go out, get yourself a dress shirt, a red tie, and a cloak. The cloak is essential. Just wear it. It makes you feel like you are a magical student. It's just awesome, you know? Like, I remember, like, getting up and going to high school in the morning and just feeling like, oh, crap, I don't want to go to school today. Can I just stay home? Let me tell you, if my student, I didn't have a school uniform, but if I had a school uniform and it involved a cloak, that would, I don't know if I would be pumped for school every single day, but that would definitely raise its stock a little bit, right? Also, I apologize. Last time I wore a black tie, which I assumed was what they wore, and then I checked, and no, it's a red tie, so it has to be a red tie at Easton Magical Academy. I was also thinking, with the kind of sense of humor that Mashle kind of presents, do you think there's going to be, well, there's definitely other magical schools in the world, but do you think they're literally just going to be named, like, okay, there's Easton, which is where MASH and everybody's going, but there's going to be a Weston Magical Academy, a Northton Academy, a Southton Academy. With the kind of humor that we're presenting here, I could kind of see that. But yeah, go get yourself a cloak. It's Halloween. There's stores everywhere. I went to Spirit Halloween last night and got a damn Buster Sword. You could get yourself a cloak. By the way, you know how in every shonen manga there has to have a point where the main character gets some kind of level up, some kind of power boost, right? Okay? MASH might get a Buster Sword, because here's the way I think this is gonna go. I'll just do this really quick, and then we'll talk about the chapter, alright? Wands, right? Everybody has a wand. MASH, the way he uses his wand usually is just like flinging it at the opponent and just like stabbing them. But here's the thing though. It'd be crazy, it'd be awesome if there was an arc where like MASH, we need to get you like an actual wand, like catered to you, right? So they go to get him a wand and they go to like Ollivander's in Diagon Alley or whatever. They go in there, it's like, this wand is made of dragon hair. And then MASH just grabs it and just flings it at the wall and it just cracks the wall in half. And he's like, yeah, that one's pretty good. Yeah, I might go with that. No, that's not. Okay, well, this wand is made from unicorn horn. Does the exact same thing, except this time it, like, cracks the building next to it. And finally, MASH just goes up to, like, I don't know, he finds, like, a pipe or something and just rips it out of the wall. Or something very crude piece of, like, raw metal shaped like a giant sword. And he's like, this is a good wand. I'll just go with this. Like, that's not a wand. I'm like, kind of looks like a wand. It's my wand. I'll use it like a wand, you know? So, yeah, I could see that. All right. So, finally getting to the actual manga here. Okay. So, this arc was really intense, kind of going through the standard shonen boss gauntlet, you know? It's like, we are the 7 Magia Lupus, or whatever we're called. We got 7 really strong wizards, Abel being the first, he's the strongest, he's got this puppet magic that's really scary, he's captured Lemon, he captured Finny, and then Mash and Lance and everybody are in Dot, they're going down in the depths below the school, like in the dungeon, to go and bring everybody back, okay? And this chapter, I don't think is like the end of this arc exactly. Chapter 35, I think we still got a one final like hurrah here, like a climax for this arc. But MASH has defeated Abel in a way that we all figured was going to happen. See, here's the thing I like about this story. So MASH defeats him, And it was relatively easy for Mash. Like, you don't get the impression like Mash, like this was a fight for his life, like he was gonna die or anything like that. But it's handled in a slightly different way where it's not like he just walks in, punches Abel once, and then that's it. I really liked the way it got handled, where Mash got turned into a puppet for a little while, but then it was like through spinal reflex out of getting a cream puff stolen out of his cloak. He's just like, bam! And then it slams into Abel's face, like, wait, what? How did that happen? And Abel explains his whole puppet thing, where it's like, I'm not actually turning people into puppets. I'm just making like a magical puppet shell around them, so their physical bodies are still inside. Which that makes sense given like, oh, okay, he's not like literally turning like Finny's body into like wood. Like he has his regular body underneath like the puppet like armors, sort of. And he controls it with strings. Okay, that is his magic. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then later on, when he's activating his ultimate attack, his second spell, Harm Puppet, which Abel did have 3 lines on his face, right? I mean, there were some people that were like, well, maybe that 1 line is actually counts as 1, like that 2 lines count as 1, so it's just 2. But the way I'm looking at him, he has 3 lines. So I don't know how this is gonna go. If it's like, go second if spell, third if spell, fourth if spell, fifth if spell. Considering once again the tone of this series, I could see all of that happening. I could see it like, we're at like second if and then third if spells, and then we get introduced to a character that's like, ninth if spells. It's like, what? I mean, hey, at any rate, it's a good and simple way of understanding, how much stronger a spell is on like these elevated levels, right? Like, for example, if in the next chapter that Jean-Pierre dude that Rain is fighting against right now, if he busts out like a fourth if spell, we'll be like, okay, yeah, we understand what level of that really is, right? Okay. So, yeah, I like the fact that, like, he's activating that Harm Puppet ability, and the strings come down to kind of grab Mash, and he does that maneuver where he just instinctually knows, he's like, okay, strings are coming down, I'm gonna, like, move my body in a weird way so the strings will attach from the left side first while my right arm is still freed, and the second they connect with my skin to control me, I'll use my right arm and just, whoop, and just rip the strings out. And then by that time, it doesn't matter because my left arm is freed, so I can rip the strings out over here, and that's how he does it. All right, and these strings are, of course, imperceptible and invisible to the human eye, but of course, Mash has, like, the reflexes of a god. I was gonna say demigod. Now, he has the reflexes of a god, so he's able to, like, do that, right? So it's not as just, like, I walk in, punch Abel once, and the fight is over, which might happen in, like, One Punch Man, which that alone would be funny. I just like the different, like, all right, no, it's an actual fight. Like, Abel's not gonna at least go down that easy. He has all these different magical spells, and that's kind of the whole premise of the story, or at least one of the premises of Mashle. It's like, okay, Mash has got his physical strength. He's got his reflexes, he's got his speed, he's got his endurance, he's got his mighty abs, and he's got his cream puffs. And that's basically all Mash has, right? Maybe his hairstyle counts as something too. And his dry wit, his sense of humor. That's always a good one. By the way, I forgot one of my favorite jokes from the last time. I was like rattling off some of my favorites, but there are so many. The one that got brought up a lot, and it just made no sense because it just came out of nowhere, but it's hilarious, is in chapter 4 when the professor is, Professor McGonagall is teaching them the unlocking spell, and she's like, all right, this is how you open the lock, and Mash just takes the padlock and just rips it, because, he's super strong, and she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, I opened the lock. He's like, you're supposed to use magic. He's like, oh, I can't do magic, though. Then why are you even here? God is dead. Just like, what? What? It just came out of nowhere, but it was hilarious. He's just like, oh. Okay. Like, all right, that was an hilarious just thing that he said. Okay, but yeah, there are so many more. So Mash defeats Abel in this clever way, and he doesn't, like, knock him out or kill him or anything, but he's still conscious. He beats him down, he flips him back, he did the whole, like, oh, you keep calling people little rabbits, well, here I am, little rabbit, and then just boom, just, like, pile drives him into the damn ground. And then freaking Abel gets up and he's like, all right, like he admits defeat pretty quickly. Like, he goes on a little bit of a spiel about his mother, and we find out about how he ended, like, a little bit of pathos. We end up how he actually ended up where he's at. He's like, my mother was very kind, she was a noble, but she was very charitable, and she helped out all the people and, like, the less fortunate in the world. But then there was this guy that showed up that was, like, one of the impoverished areas she was visiting. This guy showed up with a knife and stabbed her, and that's how she died, and that's how Abel ended up with this really messed up view of like, oh, okay, everyone in the lower dregs of society needs to be like cut off. And Mash's response to that is like, but there's bad people in every level, at every strata. And Abel's like, yeah, okay, sure, but, you know, they're mostly on the bottom. That's why we need to take care of them. And Mash is like, that would be a problem. Like, that's his, like, big contribution to this, like, argument they're having. Like, Abel's been defeated, so he's like, okay, allow me to explain to you the moral decisions and things that led me to this where we're at right now, kidnapping all of your friends and turning them into puppets. You know, he goes on this story and, like, they're gonna have, like, this big, like, post-fight debate on, like, his views on the world and stuff and on society, and Mash's big contribution to, like, he's like, we need to cut them all off, and, like, that would be a problem if we did that. And there's, like, dead silence, because Abel's, like, I think just sitting there wondering, like, are you gonna add to that argument at all? Are you gonna add anything? Are you gonna do, like, dramatic silence? Like, that would be a problem. Because you understand that the way the world properly works, you know, like, no, it's just nothing. Like, that was his argument, and Abel's like, silence, and then Mash is like, oh, I guess he didn't hear me, so I said that would be a problem. Yes, I heard you. Is there gonna be anything more? Like, okay, you know what? It's cool. And Mash is like, you know, whatever. I beat you, so can you release everybody? And Abel is, like, true to his word, if nothing else. He's like, yeah, okay, you won, sure. You pile drived me into the ground. Okay. I mean, I feel like I get the impression Abel could have kept going if he really wanted to, but he's like, okay, you defeated all of the Magia Lupus and everything, and you know, you bashed me into the ground, so there's really nothing else I can... I mean, I could keep fighting you, but I don't think it's gonna end anywhere, so I think he's more intelligence in that point, if anything. He's just like, I could keep going, but I don't think I'm going to win. Alright, fine, I'll let all your friends go. So he turns all of the students back into, like, he you know, de-puppifies them and everything, and then you have a scene that's pretty funny with, Finn and Lemon there, and they're all cheering for Mash, and then Mash picks up all the coins, and he's like juggling the coins, and he's like, coins, 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 and Finney's like, hero, 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 and Lemon's like, husband, husband, husband. Like, they're doing this cool little posing thing, like, routine, and Abel's there the entire time, like, it's like, I feel bad for Abel in a sense, because Abel was like, I'm gonna be the stoic, badass shonen villain. I'm going to gather together six strong fighters, head into the dungeon of the school, you know, kidnap a bunch of students, turn them into puppets, make my own private army, and then they'll have to send out a legion to fight me one-on-one, but I, of course, will reign supreme. And then it's just like, coins, 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 we win, we win, we win, husband, 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 hero, 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 cream puff, cream puff, cream puff, and it's just like, Dot shows up, and Dot's like, yippee, yippee, we did it! Abel's there the entire time, like, alright, this wasn't supposed to be the way this was going to go. It really is kind of like a D. I keep going back to D&D, but it kind of, you know, it kind of does tie back to that in a little sense. Like, you know, DM creates this really badass villain or something. Like, I can turn people into puppets. And it's just like, yeah, then the player characters come through. It's like, my character is a sentient crocodile that wears funny hats. And, like, destroys the puppet guy in, like, 2 rounds. I'm like, oh, alright, well, what are you gonna do? Okay, so anyway, that was the funny part of the chapter, of course. We'd also have an emotional moment with Lemon there that was really nice, where Lemon was like, yeah, Mash, thank you for saving me. And Mash is like, you know, he doesn't just like, okay. No, he's not, like, apathetic to the point where he's always, like, he just literally doesn't care about anything. It's just he's not very expressive. So he's like, it's cool. You know, I'm glad you're safe, Lemon. I'm glad you're okay. And he just, like, does, like, a little smile, and everyone's like, yay! And it's like, we're happy! We won! You know, we're still in the dump. We should probably get out of here. There's a bunch of students that are still unconscious. We should probably bring them to, like, you know, Madame Pomfrey or whatever upstairs. We probably should get stuff done here, but yay, we won! I love that. Every shonen battle needs to end with that from now on. Needs to. It doesn't matter. Not even shonen. Seinen doesn't matter. Attack on Titan. Alright? Like, the entire, like half of the freaking scouts get wiped out or whatever, but they still pull through. I want to see Eren, Mikasa, and Armin being like, yip, yip, hooray! We won! We won! Freaking One Piece, you know, Luffy just punches out Kaido. We won! We won! That would make it so much better. It just works in every regard. It doesn't matter which series. Chainsaw Man! That Okay, that might actually happen in that series, considering how ridiculous stuff happens there. That could happen, all right? So anyway, the other half of the chapter, we cut over to Rain, Finn's older brother, the divine visionary, right, who is still technically a student at Easton, but also, like, given, like, oh, you have the authority of a god, essentially, or you have the viewpoint of a god or something. So he's, like, a student, but he's still, like, part of the world, like, the government and how, like, the Magic Council and how this all works and everything. I hope they go into a little bit explaining it, like, how the whole system works, along with, like, how, like what are the other divine visionaries? Like, are there divine visionaries? I guess they said they're selected every year, but is it, like, every year from Easton specifically, or is it, like, from other magical schools all over the world? How many divine visionaries are on the council at a time? Like, how does this work? But anyway, Rain is going through the dungeon, and he walks up to Lance, and he's like, you know, oh, I finally found you. You're not supposed to be here. And so Lance turns around and his body transforms into, we actually don't get this individual's name, but they're a member of Innocent Zero, which is, as Rain stated back a few chapters ago, is this, like, dark magic organization that's seeking something, and this individual has, like a crown of thorns on their head, and, you know, they say, like, oh, well, you know, I tasked Abel with retrieving it for me, but he failed, so now I have to go eliminate Abel, and whoever else is around. I don't have time to play with you. Also, Rain's little spider companion, the spider counter thing, maxes out at 9 whenever you know, the spider looks at this Innocent Zero person. So, very, very strong individual here. And they're like, you know what? I'm just going to head off and deal with Abel. Meanwhile, Rain, you're a divine visionary. You deal with this famed, like, serial killer / cannibal Jean-Pierre. And so, out of nowhere, this individual appears with a knife and fork, and Rain is like, wow, this person is, like, on the level of divine visionary, and, like, gets ready to fight him, and, you know, he has the fork and knife, and he's a cannibal, so he's like Hannibal Lecter, basically. It's Hannibal Lecter with magic, okay, and probably some kind of, like, gourmet magic, I would imagine, where it's, like, something out of Toriko, where, like, forks and knives appear behind Rain and try to, like, you know, devour him, quite literally, like or something like from Black Clover, with Charmy's wolf or something appears and just tries to, like, consume Rain with one attack. Might be something like that, but that fight's gonna be pretty intense, definitely. And then the last scene of the chapter is the other member of Innocent Zero rocketing off to eliminate Abel, and we still see Mash, Finny, Lemon, and Dot all in the room, like, hip hip hooray, as this person's, like, charging toward them, right? You know, getting ready for some, definitely oozing some bloodlust there. So, Lance is a real character, right? Like, I'm reading the chapter, and just from this chapter we get, it's like, this person transforms from Lance. It's easy to just say that this person was observing everybody in the dungeon and was, like, seeing Lance and, like, alright, I'm gonna assume the appearance of Lance and just stealthily walk around, and then Rain meets him, and then, you know, the disguise gets dropped, and so Lance is somewhere else. But then there's also that thing of, like, was Lance not even a real character this whole time? Was Lance just a facade for this Innocent Zero agent, like this deep cover, like, dark mage to get into Easton? Because I'll be honest with you, I mean, that would be a huge twist to, like, the rival trope. That would be insane. Like, imagine if this happened in, like, okay, Naruto, we get introduced to Sasuke at the beginning of the story, and then right around the time of the Chunin exam, we find out Sasuke as a character didn't even exist. It was actually, like, Orochimaru the whole time. It's like, wow, okay, that was a twist, right? This series is still so much in its infancy, you know, it's only 30 chapters in, there's not much to it, you know, like, only a few arcs at this point. If this would happen right now, I could kind of see it working. If this continued, like, 200... Now, imagine if it's, like, you know, My Hero Academia, where it's like, okay, here's Bakudo, the rival... Bakudo? Bakudo, number 72! Okay, Bakugo, the rival character to Izuku. Imagine if it's, like, you know, 200 chapters into My Hero, and then Bakugo, turns out, wasn't really him the whole time. It was somebody with a quirk that allowed him to take Bakugo's appearence. And everything was a deep cover operation. That would piss, I think, a lot of people off, because we know about his character, but Lance, I mean, Lance Crown, he has the gravioli magic. It seemed like he was going to be Mash's, like, rival, kind of, or at the very least, you know, he's, like, the talented kid in the school, he's, like, the popular kid in school, like, that kind of archetype. I'm assuming he still exists, but I don't know. I don't know where this is going. I guess we'll see. We get back there and it's like, oh yeah, Lance Crown. Yeah, maybe he died like a year ago and this person just took his form and just like, oh yeah, I was just deep cover operation to get this thing that's found in Easton. And I don't believe we ever find out what they're looking for, this Innocent Zero organization. They don't actually explain it because the person to like Rain is just like, I'm not going to tell you what we're looking for, idiot. But it is somewhere in the academy. I did task Abel with finding it. He couldn't find it. He failed. I gotta go kill him. You deal with Jean-Pierre, the freaking cannibal here. Ah, yes, oui. It is time for me to fight and, how you say, consume you with magic. So, yeah, Louis Leclerc is sneaking in there from the One Piece D&D. But, yeah. So that's what we're got right now on Mashle. This arc is probably going to be wrapping up in the next chapter or so. I'm imagining what's going to happen is the Innocent Zero person shows up, and then Mash goes to fight them. And then Abel's there, and maybe Mash will defend Abel a little bit because Mash is like, all right, well, Abel's not, because he even says in this chapter, like, Abel's not such a bad guy. He's not as bad as I thought he was. And he did turn everybody back into humans. He was a man of his word. You know, he didn't just say, like, screw you, I'm not turning them back. So he did, turn them back. He got his friends back, and, he knows a little bit more about his backstory. So Mash in this chapter was like, well, now that I know you were doing all of this because of your mom, that makes me feel a little bit sorry for you. It makes me feel like you're a little bit of a better person anyway. Not much, probably, but at least something. So I think Mash might try to protect Abel against this person, and then they're not going to be able to do much here and be like, okay, fine, we'll return, though, and then they poof, and then they disappear. So might be something along those lines, something kind of like that. But at any rate, yeah, this is a great arc of Mashle. Can't wait to see where this is going to go. Probably going to start off with some lighthearted stuff, because these past few chapters were funny, but they're also much more on the serious note of things. And that's really going to be the thing that's only time's going to tell, how comedy and action and drama is really going to be balanced out here. Because, like I said this last time, much like One Punch Man, whenever you're dealing with a scene or a fight with Saitama, it's usually funny or played for laughs, or really just badass action, right? But when you focus on other characters of the S-Class, it can be very serious and very, very dramatic, okay? And in this case, I want to see that too, where it's like, okay, we have these scenes with Mash, but then we also have the scenes with Innocent Zero, and then the scenes with Rain going on in the backdrop. Like, where's all this going? So it's gonna be that, but so far the balancing act has been really good, and I look forward to seeing more of it in the future. And I don't know how frequent the Mashle videos will be. I'm definitely not gonna be able to do one for every single chapter, but maybe we'll do this arc by arc. Maybe there'll be an anime at some point. I'm most certain there's going to be an anime of this at some point. I've seen so many other series way less popular than this get anime. This should get an anime if it hasn't been confirmed already. In fact, I might have read something that it was, but don't take my word for that, because I don't know anything off the cuff. I'm just like, it might have gotten something by now, but it is still relatively new, so I guess we'll see where that goes. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Go out, get yourself a cloak and a tie and a giant Buster sword, and that's what the Halloween season's really all about, personally. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Tekking signing out.